By 9 a.m., the glass walls of Northridge Research Center were already shining like mirrors in the California sun. Inside Building C, Dr. Marco Villanueva stood in front of a whiteboard full of equations, a marker in one hand and a tablet in the other, talking faster than he meant to. He always did that when he was excited. "So, if we calibrate the sensor array to this threshold," he said, tapping the tablet, "it can detect airborne pathogens at least 6 hours earlier than current systems. 6 hours is the difference between a contained incident and a nationwide emergency." The small team around him, 3 scientists in lab coats and a visiting analyst in a suit, nodded, some scribbling notes. On the table in the center of the conference room sat a slim black folder stamped with a gold seal and the words "Department of Homeland Security." Next to it lay Marco's ID badge, flipped over, the back showing only a barcode and a tiny strip marked TS by SCI. Marco was Filipino American, 43, with thick black hair that never quite agreed to stay combed. His glasses were always slipping down his nose, and his pockets were always full of pens. To most people who saw him in the parking lot or the cafeteria, he just looked like some lab guy. Only a handful knew that the system he was building was part of a classified federal program, one designed to detect biological attacks before they started. The meeting ran long. It always did when Washington was on the call. "Dr. Villanueva," the analyst on the screen said, "DHS wants a live demo today. We have the Undersecretary's staff visiting at 11. Can you show them the prototype in Building A?" Marco glanced at the clock. 10:19. He could already imagine the slow security lines and the time it took to move equipment through the internal checkpoints between buildings. "I'll make it happen. We'll recalibrate and bring the live model over." They ended the call with a flurry of "Thank you, Doctor," and "We appreciate your work." As soon as the connection cut, Marco snatched up his tablet and his ID badge and scooped the black folder off the table. His team hurried after him. "I'll take the samples and meet you there," one of his colleagues, Anna, said. "Try not to run, Marco." "I don't run, I walk with purpose. You're already halfway down the hall." Outside, the heat hit him like an open oven. The courtyard between buildings C and A was wide and bright, with a few minimalist benches and a fountain that never quite masked the sound of the traffic from the highway beyond. Marco squinted against the glare as he crossed the pavement, tablet under one arm, folder under the other. What he didn't see was the black and white patrol car creeping slowly along the front drive. Officer Jake Marshall had been in a bad mood since he clocked in. He was 10 years into the job, square-jawed, broad-shouldered, and permanently irritated at how soft everything was getting.
He'd been assigned to patrol the research park after a vague bulletin about possible foreign interest in critical infrastructure. To him, it sounded like another way of saying, drive in circles and be bored. He had just finished a loop when the radio crackled. "Unit 12, we've got a call from Northridge Research," dispatch said. "Anonymous tip about a suspicious male leaving Building C. Asian, mid-40s, carrying a bag, possibly stealing confidential material. Caller reports he's been snooping around for weeks." Jake's eyes immediately scanned the sidewalks. He saw a man in a lab coat walking near the main entrance, talking animatedly to a group. Not him. Then he saw Marco, shorter, in a white coat partially unbuttoned, clutching a tablet and a folder, hurrying alone across the courtyard, head down. There, suspicious, running with something under his arm. Exactly the kind of scenario the department videos hammered into his head. He pulled the cruiser to the curb with a quick jerk, leaving it half crooked, and stepped out, hand already near his belt. "Sir! Hey! You in the white coat! Stop right there!" Marco heard the shout and froze mid-step. The folder slipped a little in his grip. He turned and saw the uniform striding toward him, dark shirt, badge glinting, jaw clenched. His stomach dropped. It was incredible, he thought bitterly. how fast the sight of a police officer could turn a normal errand into a threat. He'd felt it at traffic stops, in airports, the way some TSA agents seemed to stare a little longer at his passport photo. It didn't matter how many degrees he had, how many government projects his name was on. When the wrong eyes looked at him, he was just another brown face that didn't quite belong. "I'm on a tight schedule, officer," he said, forcing his voice to stay calm. "Is there a problem?" Jake closed the distance in a few long strides. Up close, he saw the lab coat, the ID badge clipped to the pocket, the pens, the tablet. He also saw the brown skin, the unfamiliar name partially visible on the badge, Villanueva Marco, and the dark eyes watching him carefully. "We got a call about a suspicious individual leaving this building with sensitive materials," Jake said, nodding at the folder. "That you?" Marco blinked. "Sensitive materials? This is a research facility. Everyone here carries sensitive materials. I have an authorized clearance. I'm just going to Building A for a meeting." "Uh-huh," Jake said, unimpressed. "Funny, the caller said the guy looked just like you. Asian, mid-40s, nervous, carrying a bag like you're hiding something." Heat rose in Marco's cheeks. "I am not hiding anything. And I am Filipino American, not—" Jake cut him off with a sharp motion. "I don't care what flavor you are, all right? I care that you might be walking off with something you're not supposed to have. Put the tablet and the folder down. Hands where I can see them." A few of Marco's colleagues were stepping out of Building C now, heading the same direction. They stopped when they saw the scene. Marco facing an officer, shoulders tense, the patrol car idling nearby. Papers one of them carried fluttered uncertainly in her hands. "Officer, I don't have time for this," Marco said, trying to keep his tone even. "We have a federal delegation arriving in 40 minutes. They're expecting me. If you call the facility director, she'll clear this up in 30 seconds. Jake snorted. "Yeah, that's what everyone says. Call my boss, call my lawyer, call my cousin in Washington." He stepped closer, invading Marco's personal space. "I'm not asking. Put it down now." Marco's grip tightened on the folder. Years of training in calm, evidence-based reasoning warred with a lifetime of knowing how these encounters could spiral. He slowly lowered the tablet toward the ground, fingers shaking despite his best effort to appear composed. "Good," Jake said. "Now the folder."
Before we continue the story, let me know what country you're watching from. Hit the like button if you love this story, and please subscribe if you are new to my channel. Let's continue. Marco crouched to place the tablet on the pavement. As he straightened, Jake suddenly shoved a hand against his chest, pushing him back a step. The folder slipped. Papers flew out, caught by a sudden gust of wind, scattering across the concrete like oversized confetti. Marco stumbled, nearly losing his balance. His heart hammered in his chest. The shove had come out of nowhere, not hard enough to knock him down, but hard enough to hurt his pride. "Hey," he cried, startled. "You don't have to push me." "I said, keep your hands where I can see them," Jake snapped, moving in again. "You keep twitching like that and I'm gonna start wondering what you're reaching for." From the doorway, Anna shouted, "Officer, he works here. That's Dr. Villanueva. He's our lead scientist." Jake ignored her. "ID," he demanded. "Let's see what you've really got." Marco's ID, clipped to his coat pocket, had twisted sideways during the shove. In his panic, he clutched at the lanyard around his neck instead, the one that had been tucked under his lab coat until now. As he pulled it free, the small plastic card at the end swung forward, smacking lightly against his chest. Jake's hand shot out, grabbing the card without asking. Marco flinched at the roughness. The officer glanced down, ready to scoff at whatever flimsy ID this scientist had. His eyes landed first on the big, bold letters, United States Department of Homeland Security. Underneath, in a crisp font, Villanueva, Marco, Principal Investigator. Below that, in a red-bordered strip, Top Secret SCI, Federal Clearance. For a moment, Jake didn't process it. His brain tried to shove it into the same box as fake badges and cheap laminates people flash during traffic stops. But this card had holograms built into the seal, micro-printing along the edges, and an embedded chip that caught the light just so. It looked disturbingly real. "What is this?" he muttered, turning the card, searching for a sign it was bogus. Anna couldn't hold back anymore. She hurried closer, followed by 2 other researchers and a gray-haired man in a tie who just stepped out of the lobby. "It's not a novelty," she said sharply. "It's his federal clearance. Dr. Villanueva leads the Sentinel Project, the one that's jointly funded by DHS and NIH." The gray-haired man, Dr. Stein, the lab director, strode forward, his usually calm face flushed with anger. "Officer, what do you think you're doing?" Stein demanded. "This man is the reason your city has an early warning system at all. You just shoved him like he was a thief." Jake's mouth opened, closed, then opened again. "We got a call," he said weakly. "Anonymous tip," said he was suspicious. "Might be stealing data. I'm just doing my job." "Your job does not include assaulting my staff," Stein shot back. "If you had bothered to check in at the security desk instead of playing action hero in the parking lot, they would have told you Dr. Villanueva has higher clearance than you do." Behind them, more employees had gathered at the windows. A couple had stepped entirely outside, phones in hand, recording. Papers from Marco's folder still fluttered around their feet. Jake looked down at the DHS badge again, feeling his throat go dry. His mind scrambled through the possible consequences. Body cam footage, complaints, internal affairs, headlines about Officer Harasses federal scientist. The knot in his stomach tightened. "Look, I didn't know who he was," he said, but even to his own ears it sounded small. He was running, carrying stuff, it fit the description." Marco finally found his voice. He stepped back from Jake's reach, straightening his lab coat, as if trying to restore dignity that had been knocked loose. "You didn't know who I was," he said quietly. "You knew enough to shove me, but not enough to listen when I tried to explain. You saw an Asian guy with a folder and decided I must be suspicious." Jake bristled. "Don't put words in my mouth." "You did that yourself," Marco replied, the anger finally surfacing through years of swallowed comments and forced smiles. "I've worked with this government for 11 years. I've signed things I can't even talk to my own family about. I've tested vaccines at 3 in the morning, run simulations until my eyes burned. But out here, to you, I'm just another foreigner to stop and push around." The courtyard was painfully quiet. Even the fountain seemed to hush. Dr. Stein turned to Jake, his expression carved from stone. "We will be filing a formal complaint," he said, "with your department and with our federal liaison. This entire incident was recorded from 3 angles, not including your body camera. If you're lucky, you will learn something from this. If you're unlucky, you will have a lot of free time to reflect on it without a badge." Across the driveway, a black SUV rolled up, tinted windows reflecting the building's glass facade. The door swung open, and a woman in a dark suit stepped out as she approached, flashing her badge of her own.
"Dr. Villanueva," she called. "We're early. Is everything—" She stopped when she took in the scene. The scattered papers, the shaken scientist, the angry director, and a uniformed officer clutching a DHS ID he clearly hadn't expected to see. "Agent Ross," sign said, "perfect timing. One of the city's finest decided to investigate your lead scientist by physically shoving him in the courtyard." Agent Ross's eyes hardened. She turned to Jake. "Is that right, officer?" "Marshall," he said, voice barely above a mumble. "Officer Marshall, Dr. Villanueva is under federal protection while he works on this project," she said. "Any interference with his duties is taken very seriously. I trust your department briefed you on that when they assigned you to this patrol." Jake swallowed. He remembered the memo vaguely now, buried among others. He hadn't thought it mattered, just some nerdy lab work. I skimmed it," Didn't realize? You didn't realize because you didn't listen, Ross cut in. That's how mistakes like this happen. Marco's shoulders sagged. The adrenaline that had kept him upright was fading, leaving a hollow exhaustion. Can we please move on? He asked quietly. We still have a demo to prepare. The pathogens we're trying to detect don't care about bruised egos. Ross looked at him with a mix of respect and regret. Of course, Doctor. We'll pick up the paperwork later. Officer Marshall, you will accompany me to the security office. We'll review your body cam footage and your incident report in detail. Jake nodded numbly. The swagger he'd had when he stepped out of the cruiser was gone. All that remained was a man realizing too late that his assumptions had just blown up in his face. As Ross led him away, Anna bent to gather Marco's scattered papers. A couple of other researchers joined her, helping without being asked. Dr. Stein put a hand on Marco's shoulder. Are you all right? He asked. Marco adjusted his glasses with hands that still shook slightly. I'll be fine. I've been knocked around by worse. But I am tired of having to prove I belong here over and over again. Stein nodded slowly. After the demo, we're going to talk to HR, the city, our federal partners. This can't just be another incident we all pretend didn't happen. If you're willing, I want your voice in that conversation. Marco stared at the papers in his hands, the carefully calculated numbers, the diagrams of sensors that, hopefully, would save lives someday. He thought of his parents, who left the Philippines with nothing but 2 suitcases and a dream. He thought of countless times he'd laughed off comments about his accent, or his face, or his surprisingly good English. I'll be there, he said. 20 minutes later, he stood in Building A's demo lab, explaining the system to the visiting officials as if nothing had happened. His voice was steady, his graphs precise. But one of the undersecretary's aides asked why he'd been a few minutes late. Agent Ross quietly answered, Officer Marshall had a misunderstanding. It's being handled. After the delegation left, word spread quietly through the department. Some scoffed at another cop getting in trouble for doing his job, but others watched the video and saw something different. A man in a lab coat, hands full, still shoved like a suspect before he could finish a sentence. A scientist with top-secret clearance treated like he didn't belong outside his own building. Months later, Marco would testify at a training session the department held on implicit bias and interactions with professionals of color. He stood at the front of a room full of uniforms, badge shining under fluorescent lights, and told the story of that bright morning when his worth was measured by his face instead of his work. He didn't sugarcoat it, but he also didn't stay stuck in anger. I don't need special treatment because I have government clearance. I need basic respect because I'm a human being. The next Filipino scientist you meet might not have a badge like mine. He shouldn't have to, just to be treated fairly. At the back of the room, Officer Jake Marshall sat with his hands folded, listening harder than he ever had in a mandatory training. Every time Marco mentioned the shove, he felt the weight of his own hand again, the jolt of contact, the look on the scientist's face. He regretted it, instantly, deeply, in a way that didn't fade with time. Outside, the glass walls of Northridge still gleamed in the sun. Inside, Dr. Marco Villanueva went back to his equations, his tablets, his sensors. The work of protecting people never stopped, even on days when he needed protection himself.
Thank you for watching to our Badge and Justice stories. If you want to watch more stories like this, click the videos above. See you again tomorrow.